Good morning. Happy first Monday Mojo of 2026. How are you all this morning? I just managed to get myself a cup of coffee. So hopefully you've all got a coffee too. To have a nice little feel-good session today to kick us off for the new year and get us creative. So some challenges, some goal setting, some taking stock, and some moving on to 2026 with lots of creative confidence, and that's the point. That's the point of today's session. So, how are you all? I've got to tell you, I've got an incredibly bad back. So if I do some very strange shouting out and I've not suddenly developed a tick or anything, it's just bad back. So I have a little bit of bad back Tourette's, I think. So bear with me, and I keep adjusting. I've got a hot pad on my back, which I literally can't live without at the moment. So yeah, forgive me if I jump or make funny noises or take deep breaths. I'm not really surprised. It's just pain. Good morning, Mary. Happy New Year. Yes, it is the first mojo of the new year. How are you? How was your new year? How's 2026 so far? It's very cold here. -4 this morning. Yesterday, -10. Happy New Year, says Bogner. Have only 20 minutes, work later. Oh, Bogner, well, maybe you can catch up and finish off the session a bit later. Isabel, hello there. Sorry to hear that. Get the magnesium oil on it. Magic. Well, I might try it. I've tried everything else and I have got some. So I might try it. Good morning, Barbara. And good morning, Isabel. Happy New Year. So we're going to do some nice kind goal setting this morning. And I just want to wait till everybody comes in. It usually takes a few minutes, doesn't it, for everybody to get in. And I've got my coffee. Good morning, Susan. How are you? Has anybody printed off their... Oh, it's snowing. It's just started snowing here. We drove. Yesterday was the most beautiful day. It was cold, so it was -5, but it says it feels like -10, and it did. We were very huddled up, and I've been having a bad back. But if I'm walking, it's not too bad. So we decided we'd go for a nice, gentle, flat walk, road walking or pavement walking, not hill walking or anything like that. Because I just need to keep moving. I can't sit around all day. And in fact, sitting is the worst thing. So we decided we'd go towards the coast because it's a beautiful day. And we'd walk just the cliff top from Flamborough to Bridlington. It's not too far. It's about 1.5 miles there and 1.5 miles back, maybe a bit more. But a nice walk nonetheless. Anyway, we got so far and the snow got thicker and thicker and heavier and heavier. It wasn't snowing, but it had been. There were drifts up the road anyway. We just had to turn around and come back. It just got worse and worse. And we thought, well, you know, as soon as that sun's gone, it's going to be horrendous. So we turned around and we went into Bridlington and just walked along the seafront. So strange being on the beach in the snow. There was snow on the beach and snowmen and things. It was a very odd experience because the sky, the sunset and the sky just looked like you're in Malibu or something. It was absolutely glorious. But the contrast of that with the sea was so blue as well, beautiful blues and greens because the sky was so clear. And then a bit of sand, you know, where the waves had come in and washed some of the snow, but then snow. It was amazing. Morning, Jane. You can't stay, but you'll watch back later. Yeah, please do. It's a good session today. It's going to set us up for the year and hopefully get us all feeling really confidently stepping into our creative zones in 2026. I've done a little bit of prep, so I've got some worksheets that you are welcome to. I did them as PNG files, so they're photograph files. So it should be that you can just download and print them out from your computer. They're in on my Facebook page, Gemma Crow Jewellery, and also shared into Mojo. So please print them out if you want to use the sheets. If not, you can just use a bit of paper. Doesn't matter. It's just something to help with prompts, to get you, recording your gentle goals. Yeah, so very, very strange, beautiful day out. But the snow, as we got further, you could see where it snowed, and we're just obviously a bit further south and inland from the coast. And the snow has now reached us, and it is falling quite heavy, quite thick and fast. So I think we may have snow. Willow loved it. She just rolled around in it. It was really soft, fluffy snow. So every time we kicked it for her, it went up in the air. It was lovely. Really magic day. So, oh, it's slowing down again now. It's going to probably come to nothing. Morning, Joe. Good wishes for the new year. Thank you, Joe. Good wishes to you too. Happy New Year. Right then. I've got my coffee on the go. My camera just did a strange sort of focusy thing then, didn't it? I don't know what that is. I tell you what, I'm also having hot flushes because I got this hot thing on my back. Every now and again, I'm like, oh, a wave of heat. So bear with me. Bear with me. So I did say we'd be looking at this book and just picking things out of this on a Monday just to see if we can pep ourselves up, see if there's anything that sparks a bit of inspiration or resonates with us in some way. Some things will, some things won't. And this, I've got loads of these little books with little quotes in, and sometimes one just hits you like a ton of bricks, or you just hear it on the right day and it makes the world of difference to you. So this is the glowing, Gemma. Yeah, I'm glowing. I don't feel very glowy. I feel more fuzzy. But yes, I'll take glowing. So some things might and some things might not, but let's go with it and see what it brings for us. And we'll get back to doing Mojos that are a bit more thinky, and inspirational in a intellectual way. Also, we're not going to get rid of our mystery makes. We're still going to do those. We might not do those today because we've got a lot to do. Good morning, Carrie. Happy New Year to you. It's lovely to see so many of you in today, and nice to see your name. So if you're in and you haven't said hello, please say hello, and then I know you're watching and I can speak to you directly, which is always nice. It's nice for me to imagine who's in. I'm sure my mum will be in at some point. But let's start with this this quote, which I just thought was perfect to kick off our goal setting and help us think about what we are instead of what we're not. So it's a quote by Malcolm Forbes, and it says, "Too many people overvalue what they are not and undervalue what they are." And I just sat with that for a minute, and it really resonates, because when we make goals, which is what today's all about, what do? It's usually because of something we think we're not, or we're lacking, or we can't do, or we're incapable of. Let's take, for example, dieting. So what we're focusing on is the fact that we're overweight. Well, this is me. So like we're focusing on that, and then instead of focusing on the fact that you have the ability to have a healthy diet, or to take more exercise, or on the fact that I'm actually healthy, not unhealthy. So we focus on the things we're not and put a lot of value on that, and give ourselves a hard time about the things we're not, and instead of valuing the things that we are. So when we're goal setting today, it's a good thing to keep that in mind, really, because when you set goals from a point of the things that you lack, although you do need to use that as motivation to grow and develop and be better, if you focus on that, it's hard to, you're making goals from a negative place, not from a positive place. Like I would like to be, instead of I don't want to be. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be unfit. I'm so unfit. I don't want to be unfit. You know, that sort of language, rather than I'd like to be fitter. And that automatically switches how you feel about the process that will lead you to that point. So just sit with that for a little bit. Skadges, hello. Hi guys, happy new year. Hope you're all well. Well, I'm very well up here. I'm not very well on my back, which is interfering with my new year plans of getting fitter, because I actually can't do too much exercise. I am walking every day because that actually helps. So I'm walking, but yeah, the exercising, Pilates, stretching, dancing, using the boxing bag, that's not happening at the moment because I just can't do those movements. But I get there. Okay. So the little another little quote that sort of goes with that is, aerodynamically the bumblebee shouldn't be able to fly, but the bumblebee doesn't know that, and so it goes on flying anyway. So there you go. Sometimes we're told our limitations and what we can and can't do because of our situation, our abilities, or our physical abilities, or whatever. We're told we can't do these things. Our social status, our financial status, all these things keep us in a little box that we feel we can't come out of. But if we didn't know that that existed, like the bumblebee doesn't know that it shouldn't really be able to fly, it, you know, defies the laws of gravity and physics. It doesn't know it, so it just does anyway. Imagine if one day somebody said to a bumblebee, you know, you shouldn't fly, you can't fly, you're the wrong shape. And so it just went, okay, I won't then. That would be daft. So anyway, this might resonate with you in some way. Hopefully it does, and hopefully it's just made you smile anyway, and think about what we're gonna all the things you want to achieve, and maybe some of the things you've told yourself, like I'm no good at, or I haven't got the materials for, I haven't got the tools for, I haven't got the money to buy that, I haven't got the time to do these things that I want to do, I work too many hours, all these things that tell us we can't. But if we really want to, there's generally ways around many things. So in fact, sometimes in terms of materials and finance, some of my most creative things have come from not having the right thing to do what I want to do, and actually making do with something else to try and make that happen. So what do they say? Invention is born from, what's the saying? Is the mother of all invention. Necessity is the mother of all invention. So if there's a real need to make something, then you will invent a way to do it. Whether you've got the materials right there or not, you'll find a way. Hi, guys. Oh, I've done that one. Yes, we're well. Anyway, so today's session, you've got the worksheets. I've got all my notes on here as well. So we'll start going through it. I hope you've got a pen, a notepad and a pen, or the worksheet to write on. Get that. Get a coffee or a cup of tea, and we'll get cracking with our goal setting. Okay, so before we start, these goals are for you. They're not for anyone else. If you would like to share anything that comes up for you, or anything that you want to, you know, if you want to share one of your goals or one of your process goals, then please do. That's up to you, but nobody's going to ask you to. So these goals are for you. There's nobody going to hold you to account. Only you. If you want to be held to account, then you maybe do share with other people. But you know, sometimes accountability is good, and sometimes it just puts on a layer of guilt that we don't need. So it's up to you. And remember, these goals are not about life, and these goals, I'm not asking you to, you know, make goals about your life or relationships or anything in the sort of world outside of your creative zone. So we're just talking jewelry making, creativity. We're going to get into that zone. Now, in order to make some of these goals happen, it might impact on your personal life, because you might need to make space for these things to, you know, to be creative. So in that way, but we're not going to get too deep and dark. These are light, creative, fun goals. And kind. They're kind goals. They're goals to allow you to progress with your creativity in a really confident, easygoing, light-hearted way. Yeah, it doesn't need to be heavy. In fact, if it starts getting heavy, then it's not fun. It's not a hobby anymore. It's not enjoyable. And if it's not fun and it's too much pressure, then what it's going to do is stop the enjoyability, and you take that joy out of it, and it inhibits your creativity. So this is joyful goal setting. All right, just remember that. And we're going to not bash ourselves today either. So when we're making goals today, it's not going to be, I don't do this, or I'm really untidy. I mean, I could say this about myself, but today I'm not going to. I'm going to focus on what I am good at and what I do well, and what things I'd like to do more of, and then go from there. So all from a positive place. Hopefully it'll make sense as we get through. Is everybody with me? Are you all excited about setting some lovely creative goals? And then being inspired by your goals. So I have a little challenge. Goals to positively support and encourage. Yes, Joe. Do you know what, Joe? You're like my little Gemini assistant in the corner there. You always rephrase things and word things nicely. It's like having our very own AI with us in the screen. Good morning and Happy New Year to you, Gemma, and everyone else watching. Good morning. Who is that? What's the name? H4RR13TR43. It's lovely to see you. And thank you for saying hello. And I like the cat. Right. So obviously, new year, new start. Everybody is starting to reflect on what they want to achieve in 2026, life goals, all that sort of thing. And so it's a good time to reflect on what you do well, what serves you. So what's going well, really, what has gone well in your creative practice last year. So what went well? Let's just write a few things that went well last year. And what serves you. So what things served that? So for example, you had, so for me, I'll do my example. So what went well for me last year is I started selling jewelry. And I've never really done that before, but I've actually started selling and putting jewelry in shops, making bespoke collections. So that was really new for me, really a really great venture, a nice sort of branch off of my usual journey. But what served me to do that was my positioning. So I'm positioned now in a place that makes that easy for me. So if it wasn't easy for me, I wouldn't have done it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm now positioned so that sort of thing's easy. I have a customer flow coming to a venue that's already established. And so that process was made really easy for me. But what it's done is give me the confidence to do more of it. So having a process or a situation that is easy has given me confidence, because it's given me a little step in. So, let's search in our lives for something that is easy to achieve, that will then build the confidence to take the next step. Forgot this comes up with gobbledygook. My name is Ray. Hello, Ray. And Wendy, hello. I'm joining you today, and it's my birthday. Oh, happy birthday, Wendy. What a great day to have a birthday, a Monday. Everybody say happy birthday to Wendy. I hope you've caught what we're up to, Wendy. We're doing some positive goal setting, which is always good, a creative goal setting. Okay, so what did I do well last year? I started selling jewelry. So you have a think for yourselves. What did you do well last year? Or what do you think went well last year creatively? This is in your creative journey. And what serves you? What served you to do that? So what enabled that to happen? What habits or practices have you got that are serving you well, that are giving you the ability to create or to be creative? So what is it? Is it you taking a regular mindfulness class, you're meditating, are you getting enough sleep? Are you drinking more water? Are you scheduling your day? Is it that sort of thing that is helping you have the physical space and the headspace to be creative? All these happy birthdays for Wendy. Hello, Sylv. Happy New Year, Sylv. And, you know, and also maybe to think about what holds you back right now. So rather than thinking about it in a negative way, just literally write it down, let it go, write it down. Holding you back is I'm working, I don't know, 39, 40 hours a week. That's holding you back. And that's fine to have that. You know, most people have to do a full-time job. Some people work a lot more hours than that, have to. Some people have to do 2 jobs. And in which case, you know, let's not give yourself a hard time about not having made space for your creativity. I mean, there's a lot in life to juggle. So when we write the things that hold us back, let's let those things let us off the hook a little bit. So the only thing we need to do in these goal settings is be honest. And the only person that you're going to share this with is yourself. So the only person to be honest with. So you can write down whatever you like. Even if you know, like, as I say, oh, I've got no time to do this. And then I think, hang on, Jem, you know, you sit in the shed with Chris in the garden for at least 2 hours a day, you know, just chatting and watching the garden. You know, I could, if I needed that time, I could take that time from there. So, you know, sometimes when I say I've got no time, I've had no time, I think to myself, actually, Jem, if you were honest, you've probably got more time than you think. You do waste quite a bit or procrastinate. I'm not saying it's a waste of time. I enjoy that time in the garden, and that little, we call it our debrief. So yeah, so, you know, but that sort of thing, you know, honestly. And then think about, what are your good habits? What good habits have you got that you want to continue with or maybe do more of? And so have a think about all of those things. And if you've wrote some down, great. Oh, did you hear my tummy? Right. So the goals today aren't big or pressurized. They're just steady and gentle. And we're going to call them more commitments than goals. So it's about being committed to your creativity, and how you can go about making that commitment to you and your creativity. For me, I need creativity for my mental health. I need it. If I have a gap, I'm itching to make something, and I don't feel satisfied until I've done something creative. But sometimes when you get to that point, you get the day where you're creative, or you get the opportunity to be creative. Let's say you schedule yourself an hour or 3, let's say you schedule yourself an afternoon every fortnight to be creative. You put so much pressure on that space, don't you, that sometimes you get there and it just is daunting. So hopefully, if that's you and you find that that's what happens, hopefully we can work through some goals that will help that afternoon of creativity that you've given yourself be really productive. And that's, you know, that's what we want to do. We want, when we get that opportunity to be creative, we want it to be productive. We want to get the results that we were after. Otherwise, we end up feeling probably less confident and less motivated to keep going. Sorry to hear your back is unwell. Hopefully you're on the mend now, Jem. Well, I hope so. I think I'm a little way off, but you know, hopefully. I thought it got better a bit better yesterday, but then I woke up this morning just to gone back a step. There you go. Take a book to the shed and sketch. I do that after lunch. Yeah, that's a good idea. In fact, all the art stuff is moving out to the shed, the summer shed. At the moment, winter shed. Okay, so where are we? So we're going to do gentle goals that are just steady, gentle commitments that support your creativity and not suppress your confidence. So that supports, not suppress your creativity and confidence. Okay. And then your goals don't need to be ambitious. That's the other thing. They don't need to be ambitious. They are person-centered. They are small and achievable. And you can reset goals whenever you like. But when we talk about, I want to be, let's say my goal was to learn wire work. Well, I've been learning wire work now for 15 years, and I'm still learning wire work. I'm never going to be a master because there's always something else. So you've got to be realistic with where you set your targets. Like, there's no way I'm going to set a target to know everything about wire work, but I might think my target this year is to get my weaving neat or consistent. And that's more realistic, isn't it? I'm halfway there. I can already weave. But just that, keep it nice and simple. And then, that's your focus. Weaving is your focus this year. And then other things will come as you go. Sorry I'm late. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year, Leslie. That's okay. I'm glad you're here. We're on to goal setting, and this will be this is recording, and you will be able to go back onto it. Okay, so again, they don't need to be ambitious. They do need to be honest, and they do need to be realistic. So if you only get an hour a week to have time to create, then you're not going to get as far as somebody that has 5 hours a week or 5 hours a day. So being realistic and gentle with yourself about what is actually realistically achievable in that time. And yeah, you don't need to share them. These are your goals, nobody else's. But by all means, if you would like to, then do. So let's start then. We basically just have 3 steps. I said it's 3 steps to success. It's 3 steps to confidently moving forward. I think that's what we should call it. 3 steps to confidently moving forward and taking steps to support your creativity for the year ahead. Okay, so step 1 then, or goal 1, is 1 skill goal. So I just want you to write that down. If you haven't got the worksheet, just write down 1 skill goal. Just leave it there. And then the next one is 1 process goal. And I'm going to go into these in a bit more depth in a minute. So 1 process goal, and then 1 personal goal. Okay, now I know I said that personal doesn't come into it, but we have to take into account lifestyle, don't we? And to be realistic, we have to really think about fitting creativity into our life. So for me, even though creative stuff is my job, I have still, well, I'll come on to it. I still have to make space for my own creativity. And I know that sounds really daft, but it was Chris that put me on this a few months ago. And I think I might have spoken to you about it. I get really frustrated because I've got designs and big, lovely things in my mind that I want to make. And I'm always making for the next project or for the next show or for the next workshop. And I rarely get the opportunity to really indulge my experimental pieces, the things that will push me forward as a designer. And I don't indulge in them because there's always a deadline for something else, or, the pressure of making a living. So for me, I'm going to set a goal this year to have my passion project. I have a passion project, and I'm going to set half a day a month. And that doesn't sound like much, but I come into that in a minute because the time thing is important. So half a day a month where I get to work just on my passion projects. And that's my commitment to myself creatively this year. And it might mean I only make 2 things in the year, but I will have done them and I will be working on them. I'll be indulging in that passion. So I'm not going to set myself an outcome on that, but I am going to set myself the time to have that space. Right then, so let's get started. Right, so the first step then, the first goal is a skill goal. This one's quite self-explanatory. The skill is, and we're talking creativity. So, and also I'm going to predominantly talk about jewelry, but this could be that you have started a new passion, a new creative passion, like painting or pottery or knitting or crochet, whatever it is, a skill goal. So every art form has got techniques within it that you might need to master. So, what is one skill that you would like to develop? Not master. So get mastery out of your head. We're not talking about mastering here, because if we're honest, nobody's a master. You know, you can be excellent at it and excel, but even the most excellent. So think of your best wire workers out there, Lanang and Rachel Norris. There's so many. There's amazing wire works. Virginia Mortimer. Think about them. They've still got things to learn, and they would never say that they know everything and can do everything. And there'll be things they struggle with, things that they're good at, things that they're not so good at. So, what skill would you like to develop? So, could it be that you want to be more confident soldering? Maybe it's finishing and polishing. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's you want to try a new medium. So you want to start practicing macrame, crochet. What skill would you like to develop or learn or start to learn this year? So I'm adjusting. So for me, Mike, the skill that I would like to develop this year or continue to practice and give myself the time to do is soft soldering. So soft soldering is something I would like to explore. I don't know if I like it, but it's something that I think when I have the big ideas in my brain, it's certain elements that hold me back, like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I think soft soldering might hold the key. So I'm going to explore that. That's the skill I would like to explore, develop. Now, you might have more than one, but don't overload yourself. And remember, you can make new goals throughout the year if you want to. Okay. Has everybody got one? Anybody want to share that? Anybody want to share what that is? Now, it might be you already do a lot of wire work, but you would like to develop how to create clasps, finishes, things like that. It might be that's the bit that you want to do. You might not really want to do any wire work, but you might want to be able to make your own clasps, findings, chains, etc. Yeah, it is true. It's horrible. So think about that. What skill, one skill would you like to do? Sand casting. Ooh, that's exciting. That is exciting. Anyone else? Micro macrame, flame painting, and silver clay. Well, you got loads, Joe. Very exciting ones. Micro macrame frightens me to death. I got to tell you. I think it's marvelous, but it does scare me. It looks so complicated. There's so many strings. Flame painting is a beautiful thing. The great thing about flame painting as well is you can't really get it wrong, Joe. You can just have fun with flame painting. That's a great goal. And you remember what I said earlier about doing something easy? Flame painting's easy. You just get the copper hot and you get colours. Mastering it, you just get different results every time. So it's you get to learn sort of how hot it needs to be, when to take the flame away. But in terms of there's nothing to lose with flame painting either, because if you don't like it, you just clean the metal and start again. So yeah, wonderful one. That's a real confidence builder, that one, because you can do it straight away. I had a mug with 99% perfect. Why not 100%? Because there should always be room for improvement. Yeah, always. There's no such thing as perfection, is there? No such thing. you know, and if things were perfect, well, what would you do then? You know, sometimes you imagine life, you know, if you won the lottery, or, you know, if you never had to work, and you think, oh, it'd be perfect. But then what? What if your life was perfect? There would be no motivation to do anything, would there? Perfection is not the aim. Well, it shouldn't be. I don't think it should be the aim. Joe, it did me too. So I am going to complete my templates and easy to read patterns. Yes. Yeah, patterns. Start with patterns. That's a good plan. And then you can sort of branch out from there, can't you? Get all the techniques, learn the techniques, and then sort of adjust them. I like the idea. I've seen some wonderful sort of free form micro macrame, which I love because I like it being higgledy piggledy. But obviously you need to learn the basics first. You've got to do the patterns and follow the rules first. New year, and I'm going to get back to teaching live classes. Yay! Yeah, Isabel, that's a great plan. Lovely. So where have you got a venue? Do you know? I mean, this is going on to the next stuff, but you know, have you got somewhere that you used to teach and you're just going to return to it, or are you starting up again? Tell us, Isabel. Tell us. Live classes, it's lovely. There's nothing like it. I love teaching live. I come out of a live, you know, of a real workshop, and I'm energized. I just love it. I love being hands-on. I love watching as somebody brings something to life, or that moment where all those wires come together and make sense. You know, I love watching that process. Yeah. Local creative hubs. Oh, lovely. Oh yeah, well done, Isabel. That's great. Wow, 2026 is going to be wonderful. Okay, right, let's go on then to the next one, which is a process goal. So hopefully you've got one skill goal, or if you're Joe, you've got three. Hopefully you've got at least one. And then a process goal. So how are you going to make that skill goal a realistic option? So, and that's your process. Although they can be completely unrelated as well. So let's look at some options for process so you get an idea of what I mean. So a regular day or time to spend creating. So actually giving yourself a protected time, day, hour on a regular basis. So is that a half day a week? Is that one evening a fortnight? Is that one weekend a month? You know, it could be that you want a block of time. So instead of having one day a week, maybe you can have 2 days together a month. You know, sometimes a block of time is more productive because it can take a while to settle into that space, can't it? And then do it like that. So it depends how flexible you can be, or, you know, given your commitments, your life commitments, your real life commitments, not your creative life commitments. Is it that you you need to work more slowly? You know, sometimes we rush things, don't we? We want to get a project done and out. You know, I'm definitely guilty of that. I'm somebody who likes a project to be finished, and sometimes I can rush through it a little bit. So is a process would maybe to work a bit more slowly. Another process goal could be finishing one project before moving on to the next. Also something I should take into account. Maybe it's keeping notes and making sketches, planning. So this is something Chris and I were doing our own goals last night in our debrief, where we're not wasting 2 hours talking in the shed. We were talking about process goals, and one of them was planning. So Chris building all sorts of things for the greenhouse, and he's had a few episodes where he's made something and then thought, can't actually get that through the door now. Not to take it apart and rebuild it, or he's cut the wood the wrong length and then has to get more wood. So planning is a big part of protecting that time that you have got to actually do the thing you want to do. So planning, and that can be keeping a sketchbook, can it? That, and like Joe was saying, take it with you, have it on your desk at work. There's no, you've got to have screen breaks sometimes, or you have a coffee break at work or a lunch break, maybe sketching and planning for your protected time that you're creating for yourself for doing things. Another process goal might be that you want to consistently photograph your work. So if you finish it, photo it and have a process so that you're not then thinking, oh, I've got to do all this photography now, and digging it all out. So photograph as you go. That might be a process goal. What else? Tidying and cleaning your workbench between sessions. And that could be a process goal. So have a think about those. Are there any processes that you can think that will help protect your creative space, your creative time? What process will support you in what you want to achieve? It might be that you're doing something already and you think, this is really working for me. I'm going to keep doing it, and maybe I'm going to add a bit more to it. So for me, one process that has worked for me this year in photographing, I don't always keep on top of this, but mainly I do since I've introduced a photo box on my worktop. So on my desk is a box, what they call it, a light box, and it's actually on my desk. So I'm working right here, and if I go like that, which I'm not going to today, I can photograph straight away, and it's done. And then what I should add to this process, so that process is working for me. So the next thing to add to that would make it better would be to then box the jewelry straight away, rather than take the photograph and put it on the top of the light box, and then every few days have to think, oh, there's a lot of stuff on top of the light box. I have to do something with it. So that's process. This is a process goal. So what process could you choose? Unfortunately, my brain is not working properly at the moment, so I'll watch this back shortly. Thanks, Gemma. Also, Isabel, I'm jumping around a bit, so hopefully you can listen to this gobbledygook that I'm going on about, and then print out the sheets and then work through it with your own rationale, and hopefully some of the things I've said will make sense as you go through it yourself. So what process will support your goals? So for me, because I'm just setting creative goals, not work goals, even though my work is creative, it's a separate entity. So for me, my process goal, even though pretty much most of those are process goals, I am going to allow myself I think one whole day a month is good, not half a day. Half a day isn't long enough, is it? One whole day per month for our passion projects. One day per month for passion projects to make the big stuff that I want to make, or the my own designs. They're a bit experimental, and sometimes I have these big ideas, but I think, well, that means I've got to do some fold forming, and then I've also got to make some rope, and I've got to do all the endings, and I've got to do that. And then I think, and I just make a small tailored down version of what I've got in my brain. So I need to stop doing that and realize that actually the pieces I want to make are not going to be made in a day. They might take 4 days because of the different processes, and be happy with that and think, well, okay, it means I'm going to be patient, and I have to allow just that day every month I work on a bit of it, and stop thinking I have to make everything in one day. So that's my process goal. Okay, then moving on. Everybody got a process goal? Can everybody think of one that would help? You just have to say yes or no. You don't have to share what they are. They're yours. Like I said, completely yours. But just let me know if you've got one. Say yes, no, thumbs up. Leslie says, I need to return our loft back to a usable workspace. So that's my process goal. I'm thinking wire work this year. Fantastic. Yeah, you need the space, don't you? You have to create the space. And the process revolves a lot around having a space to work in. Joe says, no, need to think about this. Okay, yep, good. It is something you should think about. You don't want to just, set yourself a load of process goals here and now, and then feel that you haven't got to commit to them, because actually having too many goals and too many commitments can actually, make you feel really stuck, can it? Which is why I just said, let's just go with one. You can always add more as your confidence builds, or as you make one of them into a good habit or pattern. Right, let's go on then to the personal goal. So the personal goal, the things that will help you feel confident to take them on. So I've just moved on my notes. So one commitment that you can make to yourself that will support your confidence, your energy, or your enjoyment as a maker. Okay, so we all know for ourselves what makes us more effective. So it could be that you need to rest when you need to rest, and not give yourself a hard time about it. If I know a lot of people, many people in here have got health issues, and it's about accepting that and not beating yourself up for it. So, for example, if your hands get tired quickly, don't give yourself a hard time about that. Build that into your process or your plan, because if you know that doing too much of one repetitive action is going to give you pain and ruin your enjoyment, then it's not worth doing it. It's worth saying, I know my limits. Sometimes your limits can actually free you. And that sound knowing your limits and accepting them can actually free you from those limits, because you're making new ones that are suitable and realistic and kind to yourself. So if you have, just thinking about, I don't want to say names, but I have somebody in my life that is constantly beating themselves up for being tired, or not being able to stay awake for the whole day, or not being able to complete projects because they're so tired. There's a reason for that. It's not being lazy. It's just saying, I know to be effective, I need to have a nap, and build that into your day. And that means that the task that you take on, you can achieve because you've built this into your life. Now, it might be very new for you. It might be something that you don't want to accept, but by not accepting it, you're actually doing yourself an injustice, because you could be achieving things, and it's not quantity that matters, it's quality. It's not it's not that you want to be making something every day. It's the quality of what you produce. Now, if you are tired and pushing yourself beyond your limits, then you're not going to achieve the quality that you want to achieve, which means you'll then do it again, or then you'll feel bad about yourself. So everybody's got their own limitations, and you know what they are. But I'm saying, think about what they are. Be realistic with yourself about what that means for you and your time and your creativity and your abilities and the techniques that you can take on, and build that in rather than fight it. Okay. And it might be that as you build confidence with that skill, that new technique, that you can do more because you become more efficient, or you get working practices that help. But yeah, be kind to yourself, and that's your personal goals. And being kind really means taking into account what you can realistically achieve and be emotionally available for. Okay, this is good. Marjorie, hi Marjorie, don't worry about being late. We have gone on for a long time so far, and there's lots and lots for you to catch up on, but it will be live. You will be able to see the video. Do bit by bit once a week. Wendy Clements, yeah. Process goal is to work on my workspace and keeping it tidy. That's a great process goal. A tidy desk, tidy mind. Wendy says, I give myself a hard time no matter what it is, so I've got to learn to ease that. Yes, so the quote at the beginning, Wendy, was really, I think you might have missed, is too many people overvalue what they are not and undervalue what they are. So flip it on its head. Stop thinking about what you're not and start focusing on what you are. Yeah, you are talented. Give that more value than maybe the skills you don't have yet. So yeah, think about that one. I give myself, what was it? Accept that my day length is much longer than most and slow my pace. Yeah, so yeah, spread it out. You know, if you've got a long day and you've got that time and space, you don't need to rush, do you? You can pace it out. You can sort of do a bit at a time. Yeah. Okay, so some great processy goals here. So our personal ones. So a few to think about maybe that might be holding you back. Not comparing your work to others. So if you think about a continuum, a line of things. So let's think. We've got a line. So instead of thinking about, I'm going to use wire work because it's an easy one. So when people think, I want to learn wire work, what they do is they look at the most amazing wire workers who aren't perfect. We've already talked about that. Who don't know that they're perfect. And they think about that and they think, okay, I'm just going to use the name Nadia Shields. Yeah, amazing. Nadia. So Nadia's level here as 10. And then they think where they are and they think they're 0. They can't do it. What's happened to the camera? They think, oh, I can't do it. 0. But if we look at that line from there to there, actually, we shouldn't be putting Nadia as a goal. You should be putting what you want to be able to do. So what do you want to be able to do? You want to be able to weave. Okay, so break it down. Like Nadia can weave, she can channel set, she can, what are all the other techniques? I don't know. She can manipulate, she can solder, she can hammer, texture, she can do everything in the wire work. And then you can't just suddenly expect to want to be there, not all in one go. Maybe that's like a long way ahead, 10 years maybe, because that will be how long she's been at 5-10 years of constant practice and opportunity. So instead of putting Nadia as the number 10 on this 1 to 10 scale, put a technique. So weaving, all right? And then think, I'm not actually at 0, because 0 would be you've never handled wire and you've never held tools. Well, you do have the ability. You have probably held wire and but you certainly have used all the tools. So you would have used pliers. If you've just been jewelry making, you would have used flat nose, chain nose, round nose. You would have done a little bit of wire work if you've been making findings or turning loops on earrings, etc. So you're not at 0, you're a little bit further ahead than that. So acknowledge the skills you have already got, because a lot of them are transferable. So you're not at 0, you're a little way ahead. So be realistic rather than, I haven't got any of those skills. So for me, micro macrame, I think, oh God, that feels like miles away, being able to actually do some of those really amazing designs. And like I said, I want to be able to do the abstract ones, the freeform. But that's not going to be my goal. My goal will be to learn a few of the knots or the types of knots and how to create spaces. That would be it. So that would be my goal. And then I'm not at 0 because I can do a square knot. I have handled the threads. I have got some equipment. So I'm not at 0. I'm already halfway there. And it makes it a little bit less daunting to take it on. So really acknowledge what skills you've already got when it comes to learning something new, because most of us in here aren't starting at 0. We're starting a little bit ahead, even if that's just how to hold tools. Because I said, I've done some beginner classes recently, and I realized actually there's a whole session and a whole learning curve involved in just knowing how to hold your tools. It's not as I take it for granted, because I've been doing it so long. I know how to hold my tools. I know how to use them. I know what they are. I know what jobs they do. And that actually is a whole load of learning before you even get to a technique. So acknowledge those things. Okay. So not comparing your work to others, being realistic about it. A lot of time we do compare to others, but they've been doing it a lot longer, have had more time, opportunity, and that's how they've achieved mastery. And that's all there is to it, really. Have realistic time limits. So, like I was saying before, be realistic about what your time is and what your limitations are. And saying no perhaps to projects that aren't you, that you don't enjoy, just for the sake of it, or because your friend asked you, can I please have a necklace, a pearl knotted necklace or whatever. And if it's just not you, it's not the sort of thing you like, just because you can doesn't mean you've got to. It might be that that's a process goal. You get swept up with doing things you don't love doing. A process goal could be just to stop when you're tired rather than keep going. I know I make mistakes. When I was working hard on the Bishop Wilton collection to get it all finished, I made a few mistakes, set the stone the wrong way round, like set something at the back. I even did one of them completely in reverse, one of the designs. Did it actually completely back to front. So, stop when you're tired because you're not as productive. And then sometimes accepting good enough when appropriate. Yeah, so when it's a practice, and I do this on workshops with people, get very upset with themselves if it doesn't go perfectly and they haven't created the perfect replica of the project that we're working on. When sometimes the first time you do something, good enough is good enough. Do it again, it will get better. Do it a third time, probably spot on. And then noticing your progress and not what you still got to learn. So noticing what you have achieved rather than what you still got to do. Okay, so yeah, really making a note of, I did this project and actually my tension was a lot better this time, rather than my tension's rubbish, I've still got to work on that. Actually my tension was a lot better this time, or as I went through, my tension was great. So those things, acknowledging when you do something well or something has progressed or improved. Don't compare yourself with other people, but with what you have done, and look at your improvement. It's exactly, you are the center of this. You have got a journey to travel, and yeah, your own environment and factors and space, time, commitments to other things in life all impact on how smoothly and how fast that journey is. So yeah, comparing yourself to yourself is the best thing. Having aspirations and a goal, yes, but being kind about your journey there is the process. Do it bit by bit once a week. Yeah, that's great. I need to try and stop myself from letting other people steal my free time. That's a big one, Carrie, isn't it? Protect it. Put it on the calendar and put a ring around it. Like it's you're protecting your energy, your space. You need it. You need that space. If this in my instance, I actually do need it. Otherwise I'm crabby and I'm not effective, and I lose faith in the fact that I'm I come to you and I present myself as a designer, but actually I don't actually get to work on my own designs very much. like my passion designs, you know, what I would be proud to say is my collection. And so I sometimes think, well, you know, if I'm not producing anything that's new and fresh, then how am I going to keep telling people to design? You know, how am I going to be the expert if I'm not actually producing anything? So yeah, you do have to protect that space. I give myself a hard time no matter what. Yes, you have got to learn to ease that, Wendy. You are a very talented lady with lots of commitments outside, but you do have to, you know, the same, you have to protect it and then acknowledge what you've done well. Don't compare yourself. Yep. I have one piece called 17 Iterations. Ooh. That's okay, Linda. You're not feeling so good. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that, Linda. Well, this, you know, this is a feel-good session. So hopefully, if you get to play it back, you can come into the session and feel good about what's ahead, what's coming in the future for you. What creatively could be in your hands. Okay, so hopefully you've got one skill goal, one process goal, and one personal goal. So so my personal goal is not rushing, you know, not trying to complete things all in one go. That's my personal goal. Not, you know, giving myself the pressure, give myself pressure. So give myself time. So if I'm flipping that round and making it positive rather than don't rush, I'm going to say give myself time. It just flips it. So give myself time, and forget limits on passion projects. So my goal is all about creating this space and time for my passion projects so I can develop as a designer, not just as a maker. So that's my goal. I want to develop as a designer. And that's my goals. I feel really good about them. How about you? Joe says, now I can't sell it. There is too much heart in it to let it go. So I have to accept when to call time. Yeah, that's the other thing. Sometimes, you know, I sometimes think, oh, I could never make that because the time involved. So I learned a big lesson actually about this. I'm babbling, aren't I? But I sometimes think, oh, the time it takes me to make this, I'll never get the money back on it. It will never be a viable sell. And that was proved completely wrong. If you know, just before Christmas, I told you about the story with the robin. You know, I've been saying to people when they come in, no, it's not for sale. The robin's not for sale. Why work robin? It's not for sale. Couldn't possibly recreate it and get the money back on it. So it wasn't about materials. Materials are cheap as chips. It's just wire. So, but I just assumed that I knew I couldn't get a realistic hourly rate on the robin. And then the person in question said, well, I would go up to about £200 on that. And I just thought, okay. So suddenly, yes, I can do it for that. I can keep it in, you know, with a workable profit and decent hourly rate. So I did, and it came in under budget. So yeah, so I did, and I thought, well, you know, who am I to? If people love something, they'll pay for it. So, you know, I don't have to put ridiculous price tags on, as in, you know, it doesn't have to be £10,000. Although, why not? You know, people do it, but I can, you know, get the hourly, you know, an hourly rate. I can charge for it without feeling like it's, you know, out of reach. I mean, just because my budget wouldn't extend to it doesn't mean that somebody else's wouldn't. You know, I have a very different budget to many people. So, you know, just, you know, I'm thinking about that. I don't want to sell 10 of something. I want to sell one really good thing. And that's where my goal stream is. Linda says, we'll try and have some me time and make pieces I would like to wear. Yeah. Yeah. Design for yourself. You know, I rarely design for myself, but, you know, that is a very good point. Make for your heart. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I design things and I think I love it, and that's not going anywhere. Like, you know, like that piece for the big agates that I did with Chalmers, absolutely delicious, and I love it. And I thought, well, that's not going anywhere. I'm keeping that. So yeah, some things I don't once they're made. So yeah, so design for yourself, and then it's yours, isn't it? It's your definitely got a signature then if it's something that you would love and love to buy. Good point. Very good point, Linda. Okay, so you're all feeling like you've got some skill goals, some process goals, and some personal goals. So make a commitment to yourself that you are going to earn yourself the confidence to keep taking on new challenges. So by setting good, realistic goals and being really person-centered with them, they're yours, taking into account all of your limitations, all of your opportunities, taking them all into account, making very small, achievable goals that you can see a route to. You know, by setting the process goal, you're allowing yourself the time to develop the skill goal. And by setting the personal goal, you're allowing yourself the process. So they all feed into one another to help you develop whatever it is you want to develop. And like I said, you can apply this to all sorts. Chris is going to use the same template for his mentoring that he does with his gardeners in the Cotswolds. He's going to use the same template. It's a template that can work for anyone. I'm with you there, Linda. I have bought jewellery and I could make it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's nice buying other people's work as well, though. I do like it. Although it's always the way, isn't it? It's always when you meet somebody new and they say, "What do you do?" Oh, I make jewellery, and then they go, "Did you make that?" And I go, "Oh no, I didn't actually." you kind of think, "Oh God, I've always got to wear my own jewellery," but like this one, this is a dragonfly that Chris bought me at a festival, and it, you know, it's not a particularly expensive or amazing design. It's just it symbolized a moment that that we were there, and so I love it. You know, it's just one of those things. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be made by me. Gemma, do you remember your inspiration jar? I still add to mine. Oh, do you, Leslie? That's a really good idea. Yeah, it was a good idea then. It still is. So yeah, an inspiration jar. Just put in bits. I can't remember the whole thing, Leslie. Like the whole session. Like what was in it. I don't know where mine is either. I've moved too many times since then. But yeah, inspiration jars, a great idea. I still use my mood board, my inspiration board that we've done at the beginning of Creative Confidence. I still use that. I still can come back to that for inspiration sometimes. So it's about having these things around you to prompt you and keep you engaged and aware of what your goals are, because it's easy to forget, isn't it? Life happens, things happen. You might forget one day to protect that space that you said you would, and then all of a sudden you've forgotten about them. So to stay connected to those goals, it's good to have something visual or tangible. The inspiration jar is a great idea to have that where you can see it, your vision board or your mood board. That's a great thing to have up and on the wall, or where you can grab a hold of it. I've got things like my colour charts and quotes, and I've got all my books behind me that I can dip in and out of constantly. And the next part of this session actually is a challenge should you want to take it on, and the challenge is about making a talisman that sort of brings all these things together. So pens at the ready. Should you wish to create something that brings all of these three goals into one thing that you can keep to yourself, or keep somewhere visually, or something to hold, or something to hang, something to wear, then you can use these three things, the skill, the process, and the personal goal in a tangible object or item or painting or visual. So the challenge could be, or is, not could be, this is the challenge if you want it. So to represent the skill, I want you to think of a medium. Now, if you've decided that your skill goal is to start wire work, then it makes sense that your medium will be wire. So that's that. But if your skill is, I don't know, something, a soft soldering, then you can use any medium you want. This is about a visual representation of what you want to develop. A process can be represented with a technique, and the personal goal can be represented with a gemstone or a colour. So your design brief then is your skill, allocate a medium to your skill. Your process, allocate a technique, and the personal, allocate a colour or a gemstone. Linda says, I came across my mood board I did on one of my first classes with you. Wasn't sure what I was doing, but it looked quite good. Yeah, they're nice, a nice source of inspiration, Linda. And if you're going to start making jewelry for yourself, that's where to start, is with the mood board. So you're in the mood board that we created. The session is actually, I can't get up to get it. Sorry, guys. The session split a piece of paper into 4, so like 4 sections, just A4, A3, however big you want it. And then in one section, you just take a magazine, any old magazine. One section, you rip out all the colours that you like and you position them on your board in the colour side. Then you have texture, a pattern, then you have words, and then you have, I can't think, where's my board? I think it's in that. Oh, it's so hard to move. Oh, don't like me. So this is the inspiration board. This was my first working copy, the first edit of the book, with all the notes and bits and bobs in it. So the board is colour, texture, pattern, and words. So you just go through a magazine. First off, you might just rip out anything that appeals to you, whether it's a colour, a pattern, a shape, a word, anything that jumps out at you, and then you stick it in the relevant sides. If you've got the book, then you can run through the session yourself, and it creates this lovely visual that you can then use as inspiration. So at any point, if I'm stuck, I can just look at that, and I can either pick a colour palette, or I can pick a texture that I'd like to replicate, or a word that I'd like to objectify in a piece, or a pattern that sparks inspiration. So there's lots of inspiration from there that you can delve into. So go back to those things. All these things build up this lovely pattern, or lovely resources for you to engage with your creativity or spark inspiration. So use them all. Oh, you've also got a bad back, Linda. Yeah, it's not very nice. I generally live with back pain. It's just one of those things that I have, but sometimes it's worse than others, and this is a pretty bad one. Although I think the spasm might have come out a little bit now. It's not so bad, but yeah, not been fun. Right then. So how are you all feeling? You're all feeling creative and confident, and you've all got goals and feeling like you can get cracking on your creativity this year. I mean, many of you make space on a Monday. You know, something you're already doing, making space on a Monday to come and see me and do a mini make and, you know, start your creative week going. So please continue with that habit. That's a nice one. Sorry to digress, Gemma. Do you have a tens machine? Yeah, I've had one of those in the past. I haven't got one at the moment. But yeah, that they can be affected. I had one when I was pregnant because I had sciatica when I was pregnant, and it was quite effective. The thing I'm finding most effective is this heat pad. This you know, one of these wheat bag things. It does make sitting more comfortable. So because not only is it hot, it's also hard. So it's like putting a nice pressure. And also I've got these golden balls. They're not actually mine, they're Chris's. Chris's golden balls. They were bought for him by his friend Millie last Christmas, and they're brilliant. They're just like knobbly balls, so just bigger than a tennis ball, and you put them on the wall or on the floor, and you know, press against them and roll your body up and down them, and it really is very good. So you can, you know, sort of move, and it moves the ball around them. That's really good for deep tissue massage. But yes, I've promised Chris that if it's not better by Tuesday, I will go to the doctor's, because poor Chris has got numb hands where he's rubbing so much cream into so much Voltarol and cold gel and all sorts. Bless him. So he said, actually, my hands are actually starting to go numb, Jem. Yes, get ruthless and tidy up your workspace. Yes, Leslie. And making the space. I mean, I started to tidy up in here on the weekend. I said on Saturday morning, then I'm ready to start on Monday, and I got so far. I have been a bit limited, so I haven't been able to do as much as I'd like to have, but I am certainly in a much tidier space. I've got a tray of gemstones to put away this afternoon, like ones that have been out for me to work on, but now I need to go back into their boxes. But yeah, get yourself space. I need to sort out a hot space. I can't do like fold forming and do very small solder jobs in here. Probably shouldn't really, but to do bigger like annealing and things like that, I need a different space, not in the house. It's not right. So we do have a space in one of the workshops in the garden. There's a little row of workshops, and Chris has his garden tools and things in one, but he's cleared the workbench for me to have a hot space. So I'm going to call that my hot space. That's going to be where I can do annealing and those sort of projects that need a lot more heat. So that's going to be brilliant. Solpadeine with caffeine works for you. Yeah, the tablets just don't agree with my belly very much, so I have been taking them. I had to, but now I'm going to try not to, because this just plays havoc with my stomach. There's always knock-ons, isn't there? Anyway, we don't need to worry about that. At least up here I feel okay. I just can't do as much as I would like, and I'm going to understand my limitations and not give myself a hard time, which is what we've been talking about. I just give myself time to get better, and you know, accept that I'm not on top physical form right now. Yeah, do it, Leslie. Make yourself the space, because you know, if you haven't got the space to work, then it's difficult, isn't it? And if you've always got to put everything away after, you know, at the end, you know, I'm really lucky. I do have a dedicated room that I can leave in a mess if I need to. If I'm halfway through, I can leave it out. It's not going to get in the way of dinner or anything, or you know, the dog's not going to eat it. But you know, for some people it's not as easy as that. So it's about like understanding, how can I make that space useful. I did see this amazing desk on where was it? I'm searching for a desk because I need a desk. I've got a table here, but it's not a good use of my space, and it's not a big space, so I do need to use it better. So I was looking for desks, and I came across this advert for a desk. And I mean, it's a lot of money. It's about £2,500, so it's not going to happen. But it did make me think, I wonder if that could be adapted, the concept anyway. So basically, it's a table, and it lifts up the top, like lifts on a flap. And that was then a work desk, with everything out. And the screen was on the back side of the lid. So if the table's like this, it lifted. So it had the lip like that on the table. So when it closed, it was a flat table with the edge. That makes sense. Like this. But when it opened, you had all this desk space, and the screen monitor was up here. So really, it's like people who had a home office, and they just lifted their table up. There's the screens, their keyboard, all their files and things. And then it closed down, and then suddenly it was just a family dining table. And I thought, how amazing is that? That would be ideal, for a lot of people that, have a very small space or not a dedicated work table. Really great. So that's, maybe it's about investing in a piece of furniture that's going to help you have the space. If you have limited space, we've got to share your space with family, or, there's lots of things. But just, the best thing is to allow yourself the space to actually work. So get Chris on it. He's creative with wood. Yeah, I think it's more of a Ben. That's more of a Ben project. But yeah, I mean, Chris has started making a table in the greenhouse, but I don't think he's quite ready yet to make tables that I could use. Yeah, Ben, definitely Ben. It's a Ben project. He'd love it as well. He could definitely make it. But because I actually don't need it in here, because I've got a table that I can use and leave stuff out. But I did think about it for other people, and in the past, in houses in the past where I've had to, needed space. But what would happen now if I had one of those is both desks would be full, and if I just didn't want to tidy up, I'd just close it and use the other one. So it was not a good idea for me to have it. But yeah, I'll get Ben on it. He might make one. So it's certainly a great design. Okay, so that's it for today. I think that's our first Monday Mojo of the year. I'm going to save the making projects for next time. So don't forget, if you wanted to make a talisman or a visual representation of the skills you've set, then use the skill, the process, and the personal goal to represent different parts of that project and put it into something. So I remember doing a word of the year with Natalia on one of her New Year goal setting programs. It was brilliant. And my word of the year was courage. And I designed an image and colors and everything that went with it. And I had that up for the year. And it's still now when I see it, it reminds me that I'm strong and I've had the courage to make choices and decisions, thanks to that session of goal setting. And some of those decisions I wouldn't have made without feeling that courage that I had that with me. And it was that visual that helped me stay on track with it. So it's a really good idea to do a visual representation of your goals. So if you would like to, just either draw them out, write them down, put them on cards on your wall, or make a talisman that represents them. It's up to you. But it does really help you to stay focused. So anyway, happy 2026, everybody. I hope that it holds lots of creative opportunities for you and lots of room for creative growth and confidence and everything that comes with getting more creative and more confident, or the side effects of it, because the side effects of it spill out into your life. If you're feeling fulfilled creatively, then it does spill out and make everything else better. So good luck to you all. Thank you for being with me another year. I look forward to the year ahead. We will be going back to this sort of stuff, back to feel good, confidence building, creative stuff. So as well as your Monday mini makes, mystery makes, there will also be a little believe in yourself quote for the week ahead as well. And we're just going to work through this lovely little book here. Right. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great week. And don't forget to post anything that you do towards this goal setting session, anything that comes from it for you. Post it in Crow's Mojo so that we can all see and support each other on our journey this year. Okay, bye.